But the good Lord doesn't seem to want that. The good Lord says, slow down or I'll put you in the hospital.
So
Facebook, we are here on Comic Spot live interviews. Yeah, you heard it. Your girl, Linda Marcus Smith, in the house. And I got another great comedian for you to get to know, love, and follow and support. He's in the other box over there, and he's sharing this video as we speak.
that's right.
The one who just waved to you is Cary Phillips. Yes, but before I do his intro, I have two things to say to you at home watching this. You don't have to have your clothes on. And I have a don't ask, don't tell policy. You know, the military gave it up. Here's my don't ask. I don't ask, and please don't tell. But enjoy the show because it's brought to you by the amazing group of my comrades in arms. I'm a veteran, and it's brought to you by the Veterans of Comedy. So here's what we have to say about them having my back on the show. Anytime you need to have clean or otherwise comedy that will rock the house, done by a military veteran, for military or for veterans, or for a clean audience, corporate gig, what? Go to veteransofcomedy.com, look at all the bios, watch some clips, and hire them. They love to make other people laugh. So you can help a veteran by hiring one. Enough for that. And like I told you earlier, you lucky people at home, today you get to know somebody I just met. And I'm going to do his intro right now. The man there with the green background. His name is, I want to make sure I say it right. I can mess things up. It's Cary Phillips, C-A-R-Y, Phillips, like a screwdriver. Cary Phillips, J.D., C-P-C-U, C-L-U, A-I-C, A-R-E, and more recently, stand-up comedian, is much funnier and more interesting than his background would suggest, that is. A former practicing attorney, too much paperwork, reinsurance executive, that was fun, and GE trained master black belt in Six Sigma process improvement. Again, more interesting than you would think. Cary now travels the United States, conducting a one-day business simulation on financial acumen. It's really a game, he says, for thousands of employees. He also speaks on leadership skills. We all need that. For individual contributors, process improvement, and lessons learned from playing bingo on a cruise ship.
True.
His presentations, the power of the question, tips and tricks to keep people on message, on time, and on their way to success. And no one has to be a failure. You can always serve a bad example. Leadership do's and don'ts have been very well received. Cary previously served on the national boards of the CPCU Society and the Federation of Defense and Corporate Counsel. He's a member of the National Speakers Bureau. I'm not sure how to finish that sentence. It cut it off.
Oh, I'm sorry, National Speakers Association.
Yeah. So welcome to the stage, somebody who uses a lot of acronyms, and I have barely any hint at what we're talking about, but that's okay because he started stand-up. So let's welcome him to the stage right now with a round of applause at home with your clothes on or off, Cary Phillips. Woo!
Thank you, appreciate it.
Hi, Cary, I almost lost my teeth doing your intro.
You're very kind.
All those JD. What's a JD?
That's a law degree, Juris Doctor. I'm an attorney by background.
Okay, and CPCU has to do with taxes?
All those other ones are insurance designations. I've done a lot of work in the insurance industry on the both the claims litigation side and on the finance side as far as the training.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I was a banker and I was with Washington Mutual and they made us start selling insurance products like in 83, 84. It was like, what? Don't we have to have a license to sell this? Whatever.
Well, the insurance industry is actually considered part of the financial services industry. And if there was any slam on the insurance industry, it was believed by some they didn't really understand the finance as well as the other industries did under that umbrella. And so what we did was we started doing this to help people along in that regard.
Wonderful. So you've been an attorney
Yep,
and you've been in the insurance industry.
correct.
And so let's go back in time. Where'd you grow up? Where were you born and raised?
Oh, the Southern accent has given me away. Originally from Southeast Missouri and New Madrid, Missouri, down in the Boot Heel.
Okay.
Was lived down there and then went to college in Tennessee, went to law school in Kansas City, moved here in 1975, and have been here ever since.
Oh, fabulous. So what made you go into law? What made you go into insurance?
Well, the law part of it was something that I really wanted to do. I was very interested in it. I had an uncle and cousins that were in the law, and I decided that that would be a good field for me. The insurance industry, actually, the practice of law was fine, but I was able to work for a reinsurance company without going into detail. Reinsurance companies insure insurance companies. And so instead of doing the day-to-day legal work, I could manage the lawsuits. And I really did enjoy that. I really enjoyed managing the lawsuits and overseeing them. And so I started doing that and I was involved in that for 15 years. And
So
then I
that
left.
that encompassed law and insurance.
Yes, it did. Again, whether or not there was coverage, I mean, and so it did both. And while I was there, um, I was looking for opportunities to speak on various topics, legal topics, and they allowed me to do that. And the marketing people just love reinsurers are always looking for some reasons to sell why you should do business with them. And I had started doing some of these presentations, and they were pretty well received. And so I just started doing more of them, and I really enjoyed doing it.
Wonderful. So your whole life growing up as a kid, through high school, college, your adult life, have you always seen things funny? Because now you're doing comedy. So when did comedy pop into your life?
Well, it could have been the high school play that we did years and years ago. I took part in this play. I mean, I did sports. I did all the athletics in a small town, but we did this one high school play, and I was absolutely enthralled by it. And that is, you would say something, and the audience would laugh. By the way, the play was terrible. I was terrible, and I enjoyed absolutely every minute of it. And the idea that you could say something and people you did not know or you did not know well would laugh, and I enjoyed that experience. And so I did the same thing when I was in college. I would try different things and go out there and I enjoyed working with an audience. So that's how it worked.
So do you have some funny stories or one story about your presentations of law and insurance where something funny popped out of your mouth?
Well, it's the situation that popped out because this is pretty high glamour when you speak in the insurance industry. I mean, it's real high glamour. I was in Omaha, Nebraska one time to do this presentation, and they actually had us in their snack room. And I thought, okay, well, we're in the snack room, so they'll just close it while we're doing this. No, they did not. And so I'm giving a presentation, and this guy walks in and he walks behind me, he opens the deal, and he gets out the popcorn and he puts it into the microwave. And he's just standing right beside me while his popcorn is popping. And I tell you what, it trained me for stand-up comedy because I just kept right on talking. I kept right on talking. He wasn't, trying to be, mean or anything like that. He's just waiting for his popcorn. They just go, wow, there we go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't Jiffy Pop. That
No,
makes a
oh,
lot of
that would take. You're absolutely right. That would be a tag if I ever tell that story on stage.
Yeah, there you go. So you at one point, you're throwing in humor. You probably always saw life with a little bit of, wackiness, right?
Yeah, it's the people are a captive, and I say that the audience is captive in that they've been told to come and hear the presentation, and so they're kind of a captive audience. And the whole idea is to transition them into curious and committed about whatever you're talking about. And I found a great way to do that was humor. The idea that you throw in some humor and things of that nature. Now, admittedly, that is much easier than doing stand up because when you do stand up comedy, you're supposed to be funny. If you're doing a presentation on a specific topic and you throw in a little humor, it's just kind of like an add on. It's very nice. I say, oh, that was fun. But you go on a stage at a comedy shop, you're supposed to be funny. So that's a lot different.
Yes. I was in banking, like I told you, for 24 years, and Washington Mutual made me a corporate trainer. So for 5 days, I would have a captive audience, semi hostages,
Sure.
with like this, they didn't want to be there. They didn't want, and I had to teach them all the skills to be a teller, new accounts, and loan person. And so
Right.
the only way I could keep them interested was to throw in humor.
Well, my a good buddy of mine, Stephen Iverson, he always talked about the concept of captive, curious, and committed. And that is when you go out there in front of a group, it could be comedy, it could be a content, but they're sort of captive. You start talking and you can see the smiles or you can see the head nods, and you say, okay, they've transitioned into curious. And then you hopefully, oh my gosh, I want to learn more. I'd be committed. And so you're constantly surveying them to see where people are. And that is that, that one person's still captive. I'll try something else. And then you got a decision to make. Now, if the people are committed, that is, they're buying what you're selling, then when I start doing a little crowd work, this is where I'll go. I mean, this is something that will probably work because they're engaged and they're involved. And so it's just a matter of seeing what's going on.
So would you say, I think the answer to this question is a yes, but I'm going to give you the right to say different. Do you think because of all your expertise in front of audiences that you have a jump on other newer comedians?
Uh, as far as being comfortable up there, I do. The biggest difference, and what I found out was that, and when you are doing stand up, you've got to get to it. Normally, I had anywhere from an hour and up to 6 hours in a day to transfer information, and I had kind of a process that I used, but I could do it anytime I wanted. If you're doing an open mic or stand up, you've got anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes. And I remember the first time that I decided I was going to do stand up, and it was 3 minutes, and I wrote it all out and I practiced it. It was 9 minutes long. And it was like, oh my. And so I did find it incredibly difficult to just glean it down. But I still remember I was very new to it. And I saw a more seasoned comedian talking to a young comedian that wanted to run a joke by this person. And the seasoned comedian says, okay, tell me the joke. And the guy said, okay, my joke is that I drive for Uber. Last Friday, about 10:30 at night, I was out by the Kansas Speedway. I picked up these three young women. I took them down to the Power and Light District, and something funny happened. And he told the joke, and it was funny. And the seasoned comedian said, yeah, that was funny. He says a couple of things. Nobody cares what day it was. Nobody cares what time it was. Nobody cares where you took them. Nobody cares where you picked them up. You picked up three people, and something funny happened. And when I did that, I said, oh my, the whole idea is get to it. In comedy, you've got to get to it, especially if you have no credibility, if they don't know who you are. I mean, a Jerry Seinfeld, a Bill Burr, a Ricky Gervais, they can tell an extended story because they've got some credibility. If you're brand new, you need to tell a joke fairly quickly to kind of get them on your side, and then you can tell a little longer jokes.
Absolutely. So what's the funniest thing that has happened to you since you've been doing comedy?
Well, I I would say that I have found myself far more uh, aware of when funny things happen. I mean, for example, I use this in one of my acts. We were visiting my daughter in New York one time, and Taylor's in her 20s, and she said, "Dad, could you and Mom have ever run a business together?" And I said, "Not likely." I said, "Quite frankly, I don't know who would kill who." My wife said, "Whom?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "The correct grammar is I don't know who would kill whom." I said,
Wow.
"Okay, okay, now I know." Yeah. And so the
Wow.
whole idea, and so, like I say, I have found, because when I knew that I was gonna do on a comedy, that, you find yourself looking for things all the time. You look, something happens, and if I have some type of response to it, it made me laugh, it made me think, then say, "Hey, there's possibly something there." And that's what, real comedians do. I mean, people that have been doing this far longer than I have, when I talk to them about it, and I tell you what, I bore them to death asking them about what their process is and how they go about it, and it varies quite a bit. But from a business standpoint, I have a background in process, and so I'm interested in what people's processes are. I mean, you've got people that are just, something funny happens and you never know what it's going to be, and there's other people, they write for 20 minutes every day in a certain area. There's just a lot of different ways to do it.
Yes. Which leads me to my next question. Don't you get kind of sick and tired of all the judgmentalness going on? Like, that's not funny, or they're not serious enough. They're not going out 3 times a day doing show. And I know in some places of the country, Texas, maybe Missouri, clubs are far apart. And so people can be professional even if they're writing one joke. And I just get so sick and tired of all the judgment, people holding each other back and cutting each other down. I just can't stand the business side of this business. No problem with writing the jokes or doing the jokes, but all the mashugana stuff behind the scenes. Oh my gosh. How about you?
Well, it can be tough. I'm reminded years ago, I wrote some music when I lived in Nashville for a while, and I was terrible at it. I wasn't very good at it, but I met several songwriters out there. And one time, one of the songwriters told me, he said, "Cary, everybody has the right to tell you they don't like your song.
Wow.
No, nobody has the right to tell you it's not any good." And
Wow.
he said, "They have the right to tell you they don't like your song. They don't have the right to say, no, it's not any good, because they don't get to speak for everybody." And the idea that when you get up on that stage, I mean, there's going to be all sorts of different people out there. Now, this goes back to the idea, and probably from my background too, Linda, the idea that I am looking at the audience, and then I'm making the determination as to what I want to do. And I usually try to play to the audience. You've heard it said, playing to the back of the room, the other comedians, et cetera. But the audience is there. Sometimes they've paid, and you want to entertain them. And again, well, at my age, you see the gray hair. I don't do a lot of body parts jokes. I really not involved in a whole lot of, political stuff right there. Those people have been working. They come in here, they want to possibly have a drink and have a little fun. And that's what I want to do for them. I mean, I want it to be a positive experience.
Absolutely. I like that. So, would you consider yourself a clean comic?
Most of the time, yes, because I want to do corporate. I mean, I know that's my lane. That is
It is.
absolutely my lane. I mean, I'm aware of of what you could do at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. I'm not quite as comfortable at that. But could I do it? Maybe, but it's not my lane. It's not what I'm trying to do.
So, have you gone on, do you accept gigs on Gig Salad?
I haven't.
I've
I
heard it's
haven't.
really good for getting corporate gigs that pay
Okay.
money.
Okay.
Just
Well, I
wondered.
like to say there's because of I've been involved in the insurance industry for quite a while, and so I have quite a few connections in that regard. And you and I were talking before we went on, the whole idea of the connections. and the idea of comedians, and that is those connections are very, very important. And it's just a good idea not to burn bridges in that
Mhm.
regard, because you never know what's going to happen in that regard. And so, and the other thing is, it really all depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to make a living being a comic, a comedian, you need to understand something about the business, because it is a business. And if you don't understand that, then it's going to be difficult in that regard. And that is in my business, when I did the other presentations that I did, we were always looking for the balloon buyer, was what we call them. Who buys the balloons? Who decides if I can get on stage and do my presentation? And you're constantly looking for balloon buyers. And I got news for you. That person that is making copies right there, and in 2 years, they could be the balloon buyer. And aside from the fact it's just good human decency, I'm from the Midwest, to be
That's
nice to
it.
everybody. You
That's
just
it.
never know when somebody is going to be elevated, and then they do remember you.
And the
And the
other
fact,
thing, just like you said, we should be in the practice of being nice to people, even if we're not thinking, well, one day they could be the balloon buyer. We should just have the practice of being nice.
especially now, I mean, over the last couple of years, I mean, if truth be known, with regard to the pandemic, I was inconvenienced by the pandemic. There were people that were devastated.
That's
There were
right.
people that were living a life that they never intended. Their
Yep.
plans went right out the door, and people are doing the best they can. And so I know some people are rather short tempered. I found myself giving people a whole lot more slack, because I don't know what's happened with them. And it's been tough for a lot of people, and I'm just aware of that. And quite frankly, it'd be a good time to add a little humor.
Yes, it is. People need, I think things have been so bad lately that any comedian anywhere could get on stage and just blow raspberries out of their mouth and bring the house down.
That is true. People are so happy to be out. You're absolutely right about that.
I think I'll try
Yeah.
it. If you hear about me winding up, canceled, you'll know why. They'll think she was doing fart jokes. Those are not allowed.
Well, it's funny because they did an open mic here in Kansas City, and the owner of the club always introduces. He says, tonight you're going to hear people that are. You're going to think, boy, that was funny. You're going to think, boy, that was terrible, and you're going to think, what in the world was that? And quite frankly, I mean, there was somebody went up there and they just made sounds, the entire time for their 2.5, 3 minutes. And again, like I say, I'm fairly open-minded about stuff. And after that, I would just say, well, that was interesting. You know,
Yes,
I
absolutely.
didn't get it, but maybe I wasn't the audience.
Absolutely. So you haven't mentioned exactly how long you've been on stage or exactly how many times you've done comedy in the real comedy sense. And if you want to disclose that, you can. But you've been doing comedy in presentations forever.
For a long time. And quite frankly, the humor aspect of it, I think really, really helped, because I think I had mentioned to you the other time that we spoke that in speaking at a binary level, there are two types of speakers. There are the content speakers and there are the entertainment speakers. And the concern about content speakers is that they won't be entertaining. And the concern about entertaining speakers is there won't be any real meat, there won't be any real content. And obviously, the hope is to combine these. And when I've got letters after my name from the insurance industry and law, but I said, well, I got to let people know that I can be funny. And so I started doing the stand up, and I started doing this about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And I went to as many open mics as I could. Then I got a couple of opportunities when people contacted me to do things. I did a virtual thing for this group out in Seattle, several in the insurance industry. In fact, I have a 2.5 day workshop that I do, and you know about the technology. This was still when you were on site, and I was saying inevitably 2.5 days we could have some audio visual issues. If that happens, do we want to discuss favorite apps, or do you want me to do my stand up? And they would say, do you? And so inevitably something would break down. So I'd go up and do 15. And so that became part of of the process, and that is, if there is an issue, then we will do this. And so that, and it's all about people see you, and then they either like you, and if they do, then they mention you to somebody else.
Super. Yeah. I mean, there's so many opportunities to slip comedy into something corporate.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like corporate is so regimented and so left brained that a little levity helps them to get ready for more bits of information they need to learn.
Well, it's a good segue to go from one idea to the next. A lot
Yeah.
of times, again, from a process standpoint, you want to be as efficient as possible. But I don't think anybody would say that you would be more effective if you never slept. And that is that if you never slept and you went 24 hours, ultimately you would run down. And comedy can do that in a business environment. People have been really, really hitting it. We need to let everybody relax a little bit here and tell a joke, have a little fun, and see and see how everything's fine. And so you just need that every now and then. And I think humor can do that.
I have a funny story from my Washington Mutual corporate training days from
Love it.
82 to 87. So I was up on the second floor, no, it was on the fourth floor, 1101 Second Avenue in Seattle. And I was teaching people how to open new accounts. And we got done with the process. And then the book had me talk about robbery awareness. Like, everybody needs to know this. And here's the deal. And right smack in the middle of robbery awareness, out the window on the fourth floor, downtown Seattle, the window washer was scaling down the window.
Oh my. Oh my, the
And I'm like,
timing's perfect.
see what I mean? It can happen anywhere.
You didn't think about that opening, did you? There you go. Absolutely.
Some
No,
of the
that's
best
good.
things happen that you can't plan when you're on stage, so to speak.
Well, that's the other thing about if you had mentioned, do I possibly have an advantage? I can just say I've had more experience when things did not go well, and then you just roll with it. You absolutely roll with it. I mean, the
And
but there's things that you can do. We were doing a virtual workshop. It's 2.5 days. I'm not actually the biggest tech person in the world, and this was we first started using Zoom, and I'm leading this, but everybody, the other facilitators, they have control too. And I turned off my chat. That's what I intended to do. I shut down the whole thing. I mean, it just went completely blank. And when that happened, Paul Heacock, another friend of mine, he just went right into it. He just started doing it. Nobody had any idea that that happened until later we fessed up on it. But I mean, you just roll with it when those things happen.
yes. Now
It,
the
it is
other,
the, it's the corporate version of improv. Yes, and oh, so Carrie's decided to take a break. I'll just continue.
and the other thing that you have as an advantage because of your wide background of presentations, you spoke to this earlier. You alluded to the fact, you didn't label it, but you alluded to the fact that you know how to read the room. You know
Right.
when they're at attraction or in the middle or committed, and you vary up your material and you play to the audience. So out there, comedians have two schools of thought. No, you never change your material for the crowd. It's unprofessional. And then you got people like yourself that know how to switch. They have different escape hatches to get out of. To get out, they're in this material. It's not working. They know how to escape and go to something else. So that's
Well,
got to be a big advantage for you. So, well, do you want to speak to that for a few minutes?
well, sure. The ultimate objective, I think, in any the presentation is to connect. And if if everybody in the audience is English speaking and I'm speaking French, we're not going to connect. And so when I have that audience in there and I've been watching the other comedians and see what resonates with the group, then that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm not trying to completely change, my content or whatever, but I saw that this resonated with the people, like with me with the gray hair and everything. My comedy a lot of time comes under three headings, and that is clueless dad, henpecked husband, angry old man. And that is if I see that there's a younger group out there, and to be perfectly honest, Linda, usually they are younger. I've got two daughters. And so I will tell more stories about my daughters and stuff. And if there's and there if it's good about the henpecked husband, I've got jokes about my wife. But which ones I pull out will be determined by how the audience is responding to the other comedians, because ultimately I'm there to entertain them. For me, it's not really therapy. I mean, again, I've seen some comedians; they're wonderful, but they this is important for them to do that. And I really don't have a lot of judgment about that. That's not what I do, and that is, I'm trying to entertain the people that showed up. That's my objective.
I love it. I've often wondered when people say, I've done my material when nobody was buying it and I didn't change a thing because I'm a professional. And what would you say to that? If somebody looked you in the face at a bar or restaurant, they were a comedian and they told you that to your face, what would you say back?
Well, I would say that you've narrowed your lane quite a bit. I would say there is a lane for it. I mean, there has always been a lane for blue comics. I mean, Red Fox, and you go back far enough, and then there's been the Jonathan Winters that was on television. But I'll tell you what, when Red Fox went on television, he didn't use his blue material. And so if you want to stay in this lane, then you need to find your people. And they're out there, Linda. I say that there's 335 million people in the United States. There's 252 million adults. And when I talk to somebody about a speaking topic that they have unrelated to comedy, and I say, so who do you think would be interested in your topic? They say, well, possibly only 2% of Americans. I said, that's 5 million people. Okay. And so, 2%, I mean, of 251. And so there is an audience quite possibly for whatever you're doing, but you might want to really have to work to get that, to find who your people are. And if that's the lane you want to be in, I mean, I will tell you, I saw a young comedian talk about Pokemon. He had
Yeah.
this whole bit about Pokemon. I saw him do this in an audience of very young people, and they were belly laughing. And I could tell by his delivery, he was doing a really nice job. I personally had no idea what he was talking about. Okay. But they were doing it. My daughter Taylor does stand up, and she's a humorist. And I went to a show that she did one time, and there were several things that she did I thought were just very, very funny. There were other things people were belly laughing, and I'm just going, I just don't get that. I don't know what that's all about.
Your
But you
daughter
just need to be
Taylor,
aware.
is it Taylor Phillips?
Taylor K. Phillips.
Ah, we'll have to look that up.
You should look up Taylor K. Phillips. Taylor, right now, she recently signed a contract to write a book. The working title is called Midwestern Conversation. She lives in New York City. The whole idea of the book is that when somebody from the Midwest talks like this is what they really mean. And it's very funny. She had one a Midwestern Conversation, then she had one a Midwestern Conversation as related to the Royals World Series, a Midwestern Conversation as the Chiefs Super Bowl. But she's been going around to all the states in the Midwest, and she's been talking to people, and she's working on her book. And so that's what she's been doing.
Well, good job, Taylor. Send her my way. I'd love to interview and promote her book.
Oh my goodness, you would. I mean, she's very funny. The one thing that we say in our family is that, Tess is my younger daughter. I have the two daughters. Tess always said, Dad, you and Taylor think you're hilarious. She says, Taylor is hilarious. You, on occasion, are mildly amusing. And Mom is probably the funniest of us all when she's not even trying to be funny. And so let's just say in the Phillips family, the bar is fairly high. Tess was the stage manager and associate producer for Baby Wants Candy, an improv group out of Chicago, and she went with them to Australia. She went to them a couple of times in Scotland. She worked with them in Chicago. So she's very aware and connected with the comedy scene. And so the great thing about it is, for me, is I do believe make maximum use of available resources. I'm always going over my material with the with the daughters, and they're saying, I said, okay, that's funny. Old man stuff, old man stuff. And I say, okay, well, just because it's old man stuff doesn't mean there's not an audience for it. But they give me very good feedback, and I do believe what comedians need, especially, is feedback. But one way
Yes,
you get that is you ask for it. And all
yes.
the local comedians that I work with, I say, I am trying to get better at this. And in order to get better, I need honest, candid feedback. A buddy of mine, one time, I told him this joke, and fairly early on, I didn't know him that well. He said, the joke is gross, it's not funny, and I don't understand the point. And I said, oh my goodness, I love you. I said, you're going to be absolutely right in the face, honest with me, because I'm trying to get better. And he and I are big buddies now, because he's going to tell me if he likes it, then by golly, it's worth using. But I'm like I say, I've got people that will pat me on the back. I'm trying to get better at this.
I went out, as an older person, when you look at me, you usually think, she's had life so easy. She's probably a snob. She's probably rich. And all of those are not true. So when I go up on stage, people look at me and make assumptions, and it gets in the way of them listening to me at the beginning.
Right.
So I do a lot of I know what you're thinking kind of jokes at the start to disengage those premonitions.
Well, for
Because
me, no, you're absolutely right. For me, it's the accent. And fairly early on, in fact, there is a saying, answer the question that's not being asked. And that is, if that's what they're thinking about while I'm up there, then I need to address that fairly early on. And so I've got a couple of jokes that I tell, and then I usually say, by now, you probably noticed the Southern accent. And then I start talking about that. Now, if there's anything about me that might get them off message or something, then you want to address it. Absolutely.
yes,
So I address
yes.
my age. I address my accent almost immediately, because I mean, it's pretty obvious.
So
And then,
have you specifically asked regular normal people in the world, when you look at me, what do you think?
um, I, you talk about just when they see me. No, I can't say that I've done that. More
It's
recently,
it's hilarious. It's a great it will blow your mind if you ask regular people.
more recently also, I've been doing some acting. I went out to LA about last month, and did a part, and I had the role of a judge, and a lot of people said, "Oh yeah, you look like a judge. Oh yeah, you look like a judge." So they did do that, and even
Nice.
when I'm doing that, again, I'm trying to stay in my lane with the way that I look, and that is, it's lawyer, judge, doctor, professor. I'm not trying to be anything that I'm not. So
Yes. That's fabulous. So we're almost out of time, but anytime now that you're a graduate of Comic Spot and you're on the same level as Sinbad,
there you go. Yes. I
you
forget. I forget, Linda. Remind me, how many opening acts did I have? Did you
get
say 700? How many is it?
how many interviews have I done?
Yes. Well, I call them my opening acts, because now we've gotten to
Ah,
me. So how many opening acts have I
I,
had?
I think this is 739, if I've got it.
739. I just want everybody to appreciate the fact that I allowed 739 people to go first. So it culminated in this event where I'm in front of you now.
I needed
Thank you.
the practice for you.
There you go.
You're a pro. So on our way out, I have a couple quick questions.
Okay.
Number one, in 50 words or less, tell me what it is you'd like to do to leave the world better off, about comedy, about life, personal, anything that's not political or religious. What legacy are you what mark do you want to leave on the world?
Well, I was telling somebody the other day that, the healthiest person in the world in 1904 and the unhealthiest person in the world in 1904 have one thing in common. They're both dead. Okay. They're absolutely both dead. And the science will back me up on this. We are all going to die. with that information, what are we going to do as far as living? And the idea, my wife is writing her second book. Her first book was Do Your Laundry, You'll Die Alone. She's writing a book on starting. And a big part of her book is that start things that you can't finish as part of your legacy. Now, a lot of people do that through the birth of their children. They could that to the birth of their corporation. But the idea is having just a little broader view of your time on this earth, and that it could in some way positively impact others. That is kind of the long range. And at this particular stage of my alleged career, the idea of making people laugh a little bit, I'll take it. That's good enough for me right now.
Fabulous answer. Thank you. And the last thing I need to know from you before we leave and go our separate ways is, well, I forgot to finish my thought. You graduated from Comic Spot. So any month you want to come on and plug anything, you can come back on for 5 or 10.
Okay, great, great.
And the last thing I need out of you, my dear Cary Phillips, is this. I need you to tell people where you want more followers, where you're going to be appearing, and where they can, how can they support you in any way, shape, or form you want to say.
Okay, well, probably Facebook.com. I'm a member of the Kansas City Comedians. That's a good place to go. I am still primarily doing things locally. A lot of the open mics and stuff because of the other out of town stuff that I'm doing right now. What I'm trying to do is I've got some little acting things that I'm doing. The idea is I go in a day early and try to find an open mic. And so if there were people and I knew where they were, then they might be able to help me get up and do 5 or 10 because that's always a benefit to me. And it would just, it would give me an opportunity to meet more people. And in addition to ultimately having some level of talent, the connections are so very, very important.
If they are. Get out there, you guys. If you're thinking about doing comedy, you've been doing it, you messed up some bridges and burnt the heck out of them, just make the changes and show people that a leopard can change their spots and start creating for yourself future possibilities and don't cut yourself off.
Agreed. Well said.
Yeah, it's so important. Cary, you've been a joy to talk to and get to know. And I hope all of my friends and fans start loving you and following you and supporting you. So you're on Facebook, facebook.com, and Kansas City Comedians, did you say?
Yes, Kansas City Comedians. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a whole series that I've been doing on the idea of get to it, what I learned from doing stand-up that applies to business.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
So do you have any public shows coming up in the next week or two that you can tell people?
Actually, I'm doing my more of the business right now. I've got several business things, and then I'm flying to New York to do a couple of scenes in a short film, and then one in Chicago. So I'm doing some of that other stuff right now, but
Great.
constantly thinking about it. But quite frankly, again, this is a two-way street, maximum use of available resources. Anybody that wants to contact me, contact me. Okay, I'll do one of 3 things. If I can help you, I will. If I know somebody that can help you, I will let you know because, we're all kind of in this together.
Yes, and I know the most fabulous mic in New York City you got to go to. You will adore this mic. I think it's on Thursday nights at Comic Strip Live with Gladys Simon in the Gladys Simon room. You got to
Okay.
go.
Okay.
You got to go.
Okay.
It
Well,
costs $14 to do your material in front of her, but she has made people famous. She's made Jeffrey Ross. She's made who's the guy that whispers into the microphone? Jim Gaffigan. She's
okay.
responsible
Oh,
for a
sure.
lot. Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, she's a
Sure.
legend.
Okay. Well, thank you for that tip. I need all the help I can get.
It costs money, but you get your first drink free, so you almost make your money back.
Well, that's good enough because I should be in New York second week of November.
You got to meet Gladys. You got to
Okay.
your life will be changed forever.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's been in the business like 40 years.
She knows what's going on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, spending your time and imparting knowledge. And I just wish you the very best. You're a winner, and I know that I don't need to wish you anything, but I am anyway.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Good luck to you as well.
Thank you, Carrie. Bye.
Bye-bye.